Good. All right, good evening, everybody. This meeting of the Finance and Ways and Means Committee will begin. And welcome to the second quarter of 2024 and our first quarterly finance update of 2024. This committee meeting represents my commitment as committee chair to keeping council members and citizens informed, and further represents my intent for this committee to continue to receive quarterly financial updates from the finance director. The quarterly updates we've received from 2020 through 2023 have proved very valuable in keeping council members informed and updated on a recurring basis. It has been our practice the past 3 years. Members have also received for review prior to this meeting a quarterly refuse and recycling report from Amanda Gamby. This report will only be addressed if committee members have any questions, and I look forward to the presentation. I'll ask my fellow members if they have any opening remarks.
I do not accept to agree that these meetings have been very helpful and make me feel like I'm in the loop and not going to be surprised.
Well, without any further ado, then we'll ask Dana Pinkert, the finance director, to make her presentation.
All right, thank you. Tonight, we're going to just go over the first quarter of 2024. Although we have been extremely busy with the beginning of the year stuff and things starting to roll forward, there hasn't been a lot of surprises or activity for the first quarter. So we'll be looking at the citywide activity, budget to actual by fund type, cash position, and have an income tax update, and then review what we're looking at now with our budget and finance considerations. This is a year-to-date activity. It looks pretty much like we would expect it to at the end of the first quarter. Amounts outside of the 25% are usually due to timing of activity or cycle of collections. For example, real estate collections are twice a year. Property tax, we get twice a year. Sometimes a one-time grant will come in or an annual transfer. And it is important to note here that the budget column includes our carryover encumbrances. So when you look at it, we didn't necessarily pass a budget with a $6 million deficit in the capital funds. Those are carryover encumbrances they get added back into the budget, and those amounts are absorbed by the beginning balances. And when you have your monthly statements, you can see those beginning balances can handle that. I'm looking for a better way to show you that, but I didn't want you to walk away with that kind of perception. And so the next two slides are just the visuals, budget to actual. This is the revenue, where the dark green is the budget and the light green is the actual year to date. And the same for the expenses. The dark green is the budget and dark orange is the budget and the light orange is the actual year to date. And this is just showing you the revenue against the expenses for the first quarter, and you can see they're pretty well aligned when you look at them this way on this graph. And this is our cash position at the end of March. You can, if you remember last year at this time, it was $13.6 million more. And as I've said the last couple meetings, that was going to spend down. We spent down on the building and ARPA funds and things like that. We had some of those funds invested, so we pulled them and made those pay downs. And of this 77 million, we still have 66 million invested. And what we try to invest, we always invest funds that, interim funds or monies that we're not needing. For example, we had those ARPA funds that we didn't spend that first year, we were investing those. And we diversify it by type, investment type, and maturity date. And you can see where those dollars are falling in those funds. And this again is the capital fund summary because I'm I've been watching it for the last year. You can see about 40% of our cash position in capital funds is to be used for specific types of capital, like in the capital reserve funds. So we have a large amount in capital, but they're each broken down into specific capital funds to be expensed a certain way. And this is the one surprise for the first quarter. This is our income tax year-to-date. It is up 8%. That is not a typo. It was a surprise to me. I've been watching it for the last 3 months. Initially, I thought it was due to some changes we did in the income tax department where we were collecting our money sooner from our withholders. So I'm still going to continue to watch it until we get today's activity all recorded. And I'm not really ready to make a change in the projection, but certainly by the end of the next quarter, we'll have to decide if we want to do that. And this is just a slide we always show where $100 of income tax is distributed by fund. So we always know where it's going. But I also wanted to show you this next slide is, should we really realize an 8% increase in our collections at the end of the year? That's about $1.8 million. And this shows you where those dollars would fall. And I just wanted to point out again, it's not a huge effect to our capital funds, to our main, city governmental capital funds and some of the smaller levy funds. So it's just important to remember that it doesn't all just go to the general fund and, even those amounts are designated to go certain areas. So again, no surprises except that we're watching those income tax collections. Overall, fiscally stable, primarily due to a history of identifying risk and implementing changes before the need is immediate, and admittedly conservative budgeting. I am anticipating budget increases this year, just based on what we know from the labor market and wage growth. But our fund balances should be able to handle that while we still meet our fund balance requirements for our tax funds. Still watching our capital and levy funds, making sure that thinking about the projects we have coming up and how much one capital project can cost you. So trying to take a deep dive this year into that and maybe get a longer term projection on those capital projects. But other than that, the main thing we're looking at, immediately we're in collective bargaining negotiations, watching the cash flow and our capital improvement needs. And that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you. Mark or Bill, any questions or?
I just have an observation. I was in the hallway for, I don't know, it seemed like an hour this morning. It was a very popular spot with people lined up to give the city their money. And so that was encouraging, bit of a wait, but, and just to let you know, the income tax office was handling the popularity very well. And so maybe we'll get a bump in our income just from the people that were in the hallway.
Thank you. I will pass that on to the income tax staff. They are really good at managing the types of people that come in the last day of tax day. And what we've talked amongst the staff is, when I talk to them, they're like, this is normal. It's been this way every year. People just don't see it because we've been in the basement. So this first year has been a learning experience for us. But I would agree they handle it well and took care of everybody they needed to. So thank you.
Well, there's at least one individual other than myself that mentioned that this was a whole lot better than the basement of the old city building.
Good.
Because it got really cramped there.
Mark?
No, I'm good. What, I know when we budgeted for inflation. How bad would inflation have to change for it to impact our budget?
As far as our operating, I think it would have to be material. I mean, we padded some of those, and I haven't seen any big problems on the operating side. Really, we're just really looking at those bargaining agreements to see where they're going to come up. The numbers are all over the place with wage growth. I wish I had a better number for you, but even with that, some of the state organizations and that, some of the agreements they're coming in with just are off the scale even for current wage growth. So we're just going to try to do a good job at negotiating those and see where we come out.
Okay, thanks.
All right. I have no further questions, so thank you very much for that presentation. And this will conclude our committee meeting. Thank you.